So I just wanted to give a bit of an overview into who we are as BFY Carbon Strategies. We are a delivery partner, an implementation partner for net zero carbon for premium real estate, asset owners and investment directors. And so ultimately, what does that mean? Well, we're here actually for the full journey to net zero carbon. It's more than just going into the initial reporting phase. It's more than just gathering the data and doing the initial analysis. It's about how do you translate that from something that is a reporting framework that might go to market through to something that's tangibly able to be implemented and actioned against, and then working with the client on that journey to ensure that those projects and those opportunities can be implemented and reaching a successful outcome of net zero carbon. But one thing I was interested in is that your experience from sitting on multiple boards and investment committees is what's your view of life in terms of net zero carbon and how organisations should approach this?
I mean, I think for the first thing to say, Craig, is that a lot of people talk about it but don't really understand what it is. So there's an education that needs to take place at board levels. Boards are usually quite remote from the reality of the practicality of anything from implementing an engineering solution to a new accounting system, an SAP or anything like that. When it comes to something that's even more removed, like net zero, it becomes conceptual. So what boards need more than anything is somebody to walk into that boardroom and make it real and make it practical. Keep it simple, use practical application to what it is. So for example, the first step on a net zero journey could well be, in a built commercial environment, simply reducing energy bills, because that makes it real. So if you have a real estate office that spends £1 million a year on gas and electricity, and by doing certain things more effectively, you can reduce it to 700,000 a year, then instantly, okay, you get it, and you get the attention of investment managers because it then translates directly to value.
Yeah. So that sounds like one of the key elements then. It's that value or value creation. And is that's even in fiscal terms then, something that's relatable to them as a board of investors?
Well, I mean, if you, in the real estate environment, you have a whole spectrum of ownership models. You'll have people that will have a perpetual model where they'll have a number of assets in and they don't have any fixed exit point, but ultimately, so that they can refresh that asset base, they will be exiting assets at some point in time. So when you look at the net asset value of that portfolio, ideally what you want to do as an asset manager is, okay, I have a certain value when I acquire it and I want to sell it for more value when I sell it. So even if they are so-called to be stranded assets, improving the quality of that asset or putting that asset on a trajectory and a path where you can make energy efficiency improvements, you can make technological recommendations, everything from heat pumps or insulation improvements or reusing the space altogether, at least you provide a pathway for improvement.
Yeah.
And that pathway improvement is of value to anybody who is acquiring it, because you're giving them effectively a to-do list of when they come in and take over that asset.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean always that they will do it, but it's typical due diligence of any would-be buyer, whether you're buying a commercial asset, in a kind of a factory, a power station, a retail space, etc. The questions of what's the future value of the asset going to be, and what are the environmental dimensions that will affect that future asset value. In the case of real estate, it is about decarbonisation more and more, because 40% of all greenhouse emissions ultimately come from our built environment. So if you're a responsible asset manager, investment owner of real estate, you have to understand the component parts of how that value is created.